Oh, Jin's defense. Oh, okay. Anyway, so
It's
Jin's fortune. Yo, what is up, guys? It is Lost Curve, and welcome to the official Wizard101 Season 1 5th Age RHOSHAMBO tier list. Now, I wanted to make this video. I was kind of, like, you know what? I'm in the mood to, like, talk some opinions on Wiz. I was thinking, like, I was just watching, like, some Netflix. I was chilling. I was like, dude, I kind of want to make some tier list videos. So I'm going to make some tier list videos. I'm going to upload throughout the next few days or next few weeks. But right now, I kind of wanted to start with the RHOSHAMBO tier list because I feel like this is a really interesting topic to bring up. Because there's a lot of RHOSHAMBOs that are good, and there's a lot of RHOSHAMBOs that are just really bad. So I kind of wanted to address them and tell you what I thought about them. Yeah, so here we go. So first off, we're going to start with Backfire, I want to say it's Backfire. And this clears traps and makes them into overtimes. Now, you might think this is kind of bad, but it used to be, honestly, a really good way to counter trap stack. So, like, I feel like it's solid because of how, like, good it was to counter trap stack back when, like, Backfire Scion was the move. So I'm kind of stuck between putting it bottom of this tier, but, like, top of this tier. I feel like it could go either way. I think we could put it top of this tier. Maybe it might get changed, but I think we'll do that. And this next one is Shields into Traps. This is a Myth RHOSHAMBO. In my opinion, it's really good. I think it kind of shuts down shield spam, but I do feel like Jin's defense is a little bit better. Or not a little bit, but a lot better. But I mean, again, there's not really any really good trap counters though. To be honest, that would be good out of this. Like, for example, if someone does this and into a Scion, there's not really much you can do because there's no real overtime counters, and it's kind of the same deal with traps. Like, sure, you can scales, but, like, you're kind of losing pips unless you're balanced. Or, like, just kind of messes up your pips, so it's like, you kind of just have to deal with the traps being up. So, I mean, and on Myth of School, which is, like, very based on, like, spamming hits that are, like, alternating and, like, stuff like that, using a bunch of dynamic hits for different situations, I feel like traps are perfect for Reg Myth. So I just feel like it's good. Bottom of good, but doesn't need a nerf. Kind of in the same position Backfire's in, where it's still a great Shambo, in my opinion. And there's even a better version of this, which I'll address any moment now. And then, so this one is overtime, heal overtimes into shields, I think. Either heal overtimes into shields or heal overtimes into weaknesses or something. But overall, this Shambo's okay. It's really niche. Like, you never really need to, like, do anything with healing overtimes as a death. There's already plenty of ways to deal with it in the forms of, like, spell element spells. So it's like, on one hand, it's like, okay, it's good, I guess, but, like, at the same time, when am I ever going to use it? Like, it's just super niche. Like, I would honestly put it bottom of super niche. Like, if I really, like, in a grand scheme. It's kind of like Storm Spell Elements. Like, it's like, not Spell Elements, RHOSHAMBO. It's like, you don't, like, who cares? You know what I mean? So, that's just what I think. And then this one, I think this is Delusion, if I'm not wrong. This is basically the better version of Betrayal, if I'm not wrong. Or it could be vice versa. This transfers weaknesses into traps, which is, like, super good. It's honestly a good way to shut down double weakness spells. It's a good way to shut down weakness spammers. And it's a great way overall to work around people debuffing you, which is what Myth is, like, ironically really good at in terms of the RHOSHAMBO, like, like, path. So overall, just a very good spellament. I think this is packable on Myth, like, no matter what, because of how common weakness is. So I would say definitely a top 10, top 5 RHOSHAMBO. I think it's a hot take, but I think it's really good. I think it works really well, so I think it's really good. Now, if I'm not wrong, this is healing overtimes into blades, maybe? So yeah, this is actually energy transfer, which is healing overtimes into blades. Now, this is slightly better than what the other one was, which is, let me check, Contagion, which is healing overtimes into weaknesses, which is, like, kind of useless. I mean, I guess it does create infections, which actually could be a great counter to healing over time spells. Like, if, for example, if a life is spamming, like, heals and they're using healing over times, then I guess you could use this to, like, shut them down. So I guess in a healing meta, this would be decent. So we could move this up actually to more, like, maybe bottom situational but solid, because I could see it being meta in the future, like the protection. But then again, this is for 5th Age Season 1, so I guess we'll keep it super niche. Anyway, back to energy transfer. Healing over times into blades is kind of the same deal as Contagion. It's like the same idea as, like, setting up their heal so that you can do more damage, and then this one is getting rid of their heals so you can prevent it from happening again. But overall, just two very, very almost situational or useless spell elements. Actually, in fact, since we're talking just 5th age, I'll put them both in useless, actually, under more consideration, because nobody uses healing over times in this meta. Like, it's just, nobody does. It just doesn't happen. So, that's what I think. Now, Eye of Vigilance. This is an interesting spell because I actually came up with the idea. Me and, I think it was Liam, maybe? Came up with the idea for this change. And it became a much better spell because of it. Eye of Vigilance is honestly one of the weaker blade counters in the game. However, it is very good to have on a balance. It's very genuinely such a good balance spell. Like Scales and Eye of Vigilance, I feel like, are just such good fitting balance spells that it's hard to be mad at like them being in the game. So I think it's honestly good, but doesn't need a nerf. I think it's the weakest blade counter, but then again, blades are super common in this meta, so it's kind of hard to say it's not good. I'd honestly be willing to put it at top of good, but doesn't need nerf. Definitely better than the shield counter one. Because I mean, overall, it's a really good spell element. It's definitely packable. I think a lot of balances pack at least 2 or 3 because of how strong it is, but overall, pretty solid, honestly. Now, this one is decent, but remember that often if you use this instead of Vexation, you're probably going to get Jin's Defensed. So unless you're carrying unless you're carrying Myth Mastery or a lot of shields on an ice, you're kind of gonna deal with this problem where if you use this instead of Vexation, you'll just get Jin's Defensed, or somebody will do some sort of counter to it. But then again, if you're playing with someone who doesn't run Myth Mastery, this could be better than Vexation overall. So I mean, interesting spell. It's still, I think, bottom of good, but doesn't need a nerf. I think it's really solid, and I think it honestly has its place in the meta. So now we got Jin's Affliction, damage over time for life, damage over time. Let's be real, this sucks. Nobody really needs to explain. This just sucks. Like, I don't know what they were thinking with this spellment or with this RHOSHAMBO, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah. Oh, Jin's Defense. Oh, okay. Anyway, so Jin's Fortune. Yo, I just wanted to stop the video real quick to make sure that you are subscribed to the Lost Grove channel. I upload almost every single day, and I try to stay as active as I can on my YouTube. So I'd appreciate if you guys dropped a sub, because only this amount of people are actually subscribed to my channel. So real quick, before this intermission ends, I'd appreciate if you guys would drop a sub real quick. Anyway, back to the video. No, for real though, Jin's Defense is so good. It is by far the best RHOSHAMBO in the game. By far. Bar none. Because shields are still such a common hanging effect, and honestly the most important hanging effect in the game, arguably. Because, you know, if you're going to stop someone's tempo, you're obviously going to shield or weakness, right? And the better way to negate that damage is usually a shield, depending on the situation, but weakness is typically, if you're a defensive school, not as good. So if you're a defensive school, Jin's Defense is usually the option. That's why most balances run Myth Mastery. That's why most ices either run Myth Mastery or Balance Mastery, right? You need a way to shut down, you know, you need a way to control shields, you know what I mean? And Jin's Defense is just such an impeccable way of doing that. It's so good. It's just so undeniably the best RHOSHAMBO. I really don't think anybody can argue with that. So that's what I'll say. Jin's Fortune. This never gets used. I haven't seen this be used in PvP one time. So I would say it's not bad, but it's really just too niche. It's almost in the useless tier because it's just how pointless it is to pack when nobody uses hanging effects like this, you know? So it's just, yeah, I would say useless. Now, Jin's Reversal, I'm pretty sure this is called. I'm not wrong. Jin's, I don't know, whatever. Something like that. Point is, this is a pretty solid RHOSHAMBO. In fact, I would argue this is a really good RHOSHAMBO. The only thing that holds us back from being good is honestly Putrefaction, another really good RHOSHAMBO. But honestly, if you catch someone blade stacking and they're not running a Death Mastery, this is just such a good counter to it. It's so good to pack, and honestly, there's so many situations where, you know, even though it is like predictable for a death to do, it's still a great like option. It has a lot of versatility. You can play around blades really well as a death. I feel like this is really good, and honestly, I would almost be willing to put it above. I think they're honestly tied though, so we'll put it there for now. Now I think this one's also pretty brainless. It's life. It's healing over time for healing over time. Let's be real. Like, why would a Storm ever need this? Like, I don't know why Storm even has this, like, why does Storm even have this, dude? Like, there's no point. It's such a dumb, like, RHOSHAMBO, in my opinion, so, I don't know. Not very good, but Again, another useless spellment, right? Or RHOSHAMBO. Fuck, I keep saying spellment, but yeah. And then here is Jin's. This is Jin's reversal. Sorry, this is Jin's reversal. My fault about the. This is Okay, this is larceny. This is reversal. I'm sorry about the confusion. Okay, so reversal. Pretty solid spellman as well, honestly. I feel like this works really well in a lot of scenarios. It's a great way to set up for a 9-pip Jin. If you're using the 9-pip Jin strategy to beat Trap Stack, which is what I do personally. It's better than Scion, a little bit more reliable. And I mean, in such an aura-heavy, damage-heavy meta, you don't need an 11-pip Gambit to kill a Trap Stack. You know what I mean? So Reversal, just a great Trap Stack counter. Good to pack, great to work around. Even in the Myth matchup, can be good. So overall, probably... I'm in between bottom of super good and top of good doesn't need a nerf. I'd say top of this one. I would say it's all around the same level as Eye Vigilance, maybe a little bit above it. So I'll say that for now. Now Jin's Vexation. It's honestly single-handedly used to make people run Ice Mastery just because how good Death was and stuff, and how good the multi-weakness spells were. But right now, it's still really packable. It's still really good. But people don't weakness spam quite like they used to. It's kind of the opposite how the meta has shifted. It went from weakness stacking to shield stacking. So I'm really in between putting it bottom super good because I know there'll be a meta where it'll come back again. I think we should put bottom super good for now because it's still a really great RHOSHAMBO. It's just everybody prefers to value Jin's defense over this, which is totally fair. I think it's a lot better, or Jin's defense is a lot better. So I would say bottom super good because it has a lot of potential. But at the same time, I'm honestly on the fence about putting it at the top. It could even be at the top, yeah. So honestly, it's opinionated. Bottom, you could either put middle or top, honestly. So it's definitely better than Larceny. But still really good. Now I think this is another useless one if I'm not wrong. Let me go check. Now damage overtimes or healing overtimes, this is better than the other ones. Like, I could see this being actually decent. When are you ever going to have to worry about this kind of hanging effect being stacked on you, except for maybe in one matchup? Just, it's too niche, man. Almost too niche. It's just, I don't see why you would need it. And in fact, if I'm going to put that niche, again, I'm going to decide back on putting this here. Just super niche. I can't ever see someone making a strategy out of it. But who knows, man. So we'll just put it there for now. Alright, Meltdown, right? Meltdown. What do I think about Meltdown? It's also really good. Nobody really uses it in this meta because nobody really uses Fire Scion unless they're doing the Trap Stack strategy. I do believe since Trap Stack Fire is so strong and how good it's been this meta, I want to put this higher because it's a great counter to people who are set shielding whenever you're Trap Stack Fire. So I want to put it top of super good simply because of how much Trap Stack Fire has been dominating the meta recently, ever since it came out, or ever since it came up, I guess. So I want to say top is super good, honestly. I'm honestly cool with that. I think top 2 is super good, just because of how the meta works right now, and just because of how Trap Stack Fire works right now. I want to say top is super good. That's a hot take. I could even put it second. Maybe rearrange these. Yeah, we'll say this. We'll say this order for now. Now next, this is Oni's Attrition. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, this isn't actually that bad of a spell element. I think it's overtimes into like weaknesses or blades, which isn't bad at all. Don't get me wrong. I think it's the same deal as Reap the Whirlwind. I would put them in the same tier. But again, it's super niche, does have potential. I'll probably rate that later. Same thing. I could even just put it in the same book, I guess, because they're kind of the same thing, right? Let me check. Yeah, Attrition is weakness, and then Reap the Whirlwind is blades. So I mean, again, the same, but maybe weakness would be better, because if you're getting overtime, you're probably getting like overwhelmed by offensive. So I would say I would put them top of super niche because they still have potential as spells. Are just, again, nobody really uses healing overtimes or damage overtimes as a gambit right now. So yep. Okay, this is a really interesting spell because blades into traps is just such a good concept for ice. Because again, I mean, hitting through shields isn't that bad on ice right now. Like if you infoul, or if you you can even do things like Shrike and play like a madman on ice. And like if you're using this at the right times, you could get so much offensive tempo off it. Because nobody holds their trap counters against an ice, let's be real. Like nobody's gonna fucking pull out their random ice fuel, which doesn't even exist. You know what I mean? So nobody's really gonna be holding onto their trap counters if they even carry any. So it's like, I feel like this is such a good, but so like non-fitting, like ice element or Rochambeau. Like, shouldn't this be on like another school? Like, should this not be on like a I don't know, like Storm or something? I don't know. But overall, regardless of that, I feel like this is like middle of super good. Maybe like right here. It kind of is on the same level as like Delusion is for me, or whatever this is, Betrayal, but Delusion, whatever this one is. They're kind of on like the same level in my opinion, because they're both like not really counterable very often, but they're great in certain scenarios and put you in a much better position if you cast them. So I would say that's probably what I'll put. Oni's Forge is okay. Thundering Jin was really good at the start of the meta, but Jin's defense just took over so hard. I would say this is middle of good, but doesn't need a nerf. This, in itself, carried Thundering Jin. Without this, Thundering Jin would have been kind of bad in the first place. So I would say it made quite a bit of difference whenever it came to the meta. So I would say I would put it middle of good, but doesn't need a nerf. It was having a big impact at the beginning, but overall just kind of got overshadowed by Jin's defense set shield meta. So, I mean, that's what I think. But, I mean, leave your guys' opinions below. I do think this is, like, middle of good. Now, this one is healing over times into shields, which is, like, so, like... It's just so, like, unfitting. If someone's healing, you don't need to shield, you know what I mean? So it's, like, sure, on paper this could be smart, but, like, who needs a shield while someone's healing? You know what I mean? I feel like you'd rather use the blade ones or any sort of offensive gambit afterwards. Or at least hit them and then... you know, get rid of their healing over time. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many other schools or other spells and Death's category that deals with healing over time so much better than this spell. So I feel like it's just bottom of super niche, honestly. Like, I would put this way above it, but all of these are overall just not very great anyway. So, I don't know. So, Oni's Naturalism. Actually, I also agree. This is an incredible life spell or life Rochambeau. This is by far the best life Rochambeau. Like, by far. Like, not even close. Not even close. This single-handedly carries life's Rochambeau's, like, category. You used to be able to fuel life, and that was your main counter as a fire to life. Same with Myth. And ever since then, ever since Oni's Naturalism came out, it became a lot harder to beat life, regardless of how bad life is right now. This school having Oni's Naturalism last meta was crazy. And I feel like it's going to be used from many metas that come. And I just feel like it's a really incredible spellment. So, I would put it in Rochambeau. Jesus. I would put it in the same category as these three spellments. I think these all are in the same... It's funny because they all have swords on them. But I feel like I would put these all in the same category. Honestly. They're all super good and fit their... And kind of... These two don't really fit their, like, you know, school that much. But they're still really good. And I feel like it doesn't really need a nerf. I think it's just good in itself, honestly. Now, this is Oni's Projection. This spell used to be really bugged and really OP. I think it's amazing because it literally shuts down Shrike. Like, if you get diffused during Shrike and you have this up, you literally save yourself 1,000 HP for 3 pips. Like, that's goated. Especially in clutch scenarios. So I feel like, and I mean, not to mention, it's even pip value. Like, let's say someone dispels you, they technically use 4 pips, or 3 if they did a new pip, right? So you're pretty much doing the same thing, but you're reducing 1,000 HP, and you're making them waste pips. So overall, top of such, maybe middle of good doesn't need nerf, and then I'll shift one down. I feel like top of this. I feel like I don't want to have too much on good, but doesn't need nerf. I feel like the situational but solid tier is a little bit undersaturated, but that's kind of just because there's not a lot of Rochambeaus like that. There's like good and there's bad. You know what I mean? It's like there's barely any that are like in the middle, you know? So I don't know. That's what I think. So this one, Oni's, I don't even know this one. Oni's Shadow, maybe? I've never seen someone pack this. This just seems so weird. Like, it's just such a weird, like, Rochambeau. Like, let me read this. Like, I know what it does, but like, look, like, why would you cast this? Like, what do you gain, you know? Like, I can't see a time where I'd ever need this, you know? You could set up with an Oni Shadow or an Oni Shadow into Tribunal Oni or something weird, but like, why not just play a different balance strategy? Like, that just doesn't seem efficient. So I would just say it's like top of super niche. Like, I literally, maybe middle, because it's just so weird. Like, I just can't see this being a spell I'd use ever, you know? That's just how I believe it. Maybe you could close games quicker with it, but just overall, I just don't see how it could be used. Putrefaction. I honestly think this is the second best Rochambeau in the game. Like, hot take, like, I genuinely think, especially when nobody's using Ice Mastery anymore, and everybody was using Putrefaction before, like, if you're a Death and you Putrefaction somebody who blade twice, they're fucked. Like, you just got a huge lead on them. You know what I mean? Because then they have to spend 2 more rounds taking those blades off. They already spent 2 rounds to put, or those weaknesses off, they already spent 2 rounds to put on. It like, basically puts them 4 rounds behind, right? Because like, let's say somebody blades twice, right? They're literally 4 rounds behind. Because you just basically double weakness them and took off 2 of their blades for that. And most people don't have a weakness counter. Like, if I'm a fire running Myth Mastery, I don't have a weakness counter. If I'm a storm running Myth Mastery, I don't have a weakness counter. If I'm a balance, maybe I can eye, but even then, like, I don't know. So it kind of just invalidates 2 of the offensive schools. So it kind of makes Death win that matchup pretty hard. So, I don't know. I feel like if you're blading on Storm or Fire, this is just asking for a Putrefaction. You know what I mean? So I just feel like Putrefaction is just a really strong spell, and it has so much potential. RHOSHAMBO has a lot of potential, really solid, and just overall really underrated, man. I feel like if Blades ever become meta again, you're going to see this a lot, bro. I'm just telling you guys. For the 3rd best RHOSHAMBO in the game, we have Writing the Scales from Balance. I know you're thinking, you might be thinking, why would this be number 3? Well, because it completely invalidates shields and traps. I think this is such a good, like, spell. Like, it's so good for both shields and traps. Like, it's so good. Like, I feel like you get so much value out of this, it's not even funny. Especially as a balance or with Balance Mastery. Dude, it's crazy how much value you can get out of this spell. Like, I genuinely think this spell could single-handedly, like, be used in, like, almost any school's deck. And I use this in a context of, like, being able to, like, use in any deck if you're running the right mastery or even without it. So it honestly almost makes me want to alternate these two. It's a toss-up, but honestly, in this meta, I would say Scales is number 2. In a different meta, Putrefaction could totally take that spot if Blades become meta again, like I said. So that's what I think. Now, this is Traps into Healing Over Times, I think. It's literally just a worse version of Oni's Naturalism. I would call it Bottom is super niche just because Oni's Naturalism exists. Literally, like, just because Oni's Naturalism exists. There's literally no point in using the spell. Like, there's no spell. There's literally no point. I might be wrong about what it induces, but regardless of its trap counter, Oni's Naturalism is just better, so it doesn't really matter. Now, this is Blades into Shields, I think. Yeah, it's Blades into Shields, and this is pretty solid. I think Blades into Traps is honestly a little bit better if you're playing against an offensive school, because you can completely beat them to their damage instead of just playing it offensively, but I guess they're in the same boat. It depends on how that school handles shields or what they have in mind. But, I mean, for example, like, against, like, let's say a Blade Stacker, right? There could be a situation where Naturalism could be better, and there's a situation where this could be better. So, it's a toss-up, but I would put it bottom. See, we're going to be top of Good Business Needed Nerf. Be top of Good Business Needed Nerf, maybe. I think it's really good. It's honestly almost on the same level as this spell, but I don't know. I feel like this is just so much better because nobody knows how to shut down shields right now, and, like, I feel like there's too many people running Jin's Defense and shit where it's like, it's just no point. So, this is my official 5th Age Season 1 RHOSHAMBO tier list. Let me know what you guys think. This is probably, I might need to, like, swap around maybe a few spells, but I don't really think I needed to spend that time on that. I already spent 25 minutes recording this, so I hope you guys kind of get the point. This is kind of how I feel about, you know, the current RHOSHAMBO meta. I feel like this is a pretty balanced tier list, pretty fair tier list, not, like, leaning towards any way. But I guess it is unfair to say Putrefaction or Scales needs nerf. They're both pretty fair spells. I would say it's a toss-up whether or not these need nerfed. They're both really good, but I would say the main one out of all of these that needs nerfed really bad is definitely Jin's Defense. I feel like Scales and Putrefaction are working as intended, so sorry about the misleading tier. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty fair, I think. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys so much if you stuck along for what, probably 20 minutes of this videos, you know, value that. So again, thank you guys so much for watching and sticking through it. Appreciate y'all. And if you guys want more tier lists like this, let me know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting me. Appreciate y'all, and take care. See ya.
Bye.